season this year. Theodore Mashele, Northwest.
Yes. Well, proudly SA's local fashion police are on the manhunt for fabulous designs, and maybe you are the one they're looking for. The team is being led by 4 top-notch detectives. They are fashionistas Palesa Mokubung, Schoeman, Otsile Sefolo and Gert-Johan Coetzee. The campaign aims to promote and celebrate the local fashion sector. Let's discuss this with proudly SA's Happy Makumalongidi. Happy, thank you for your time this morning. A lot of work has been put into reviving, if you may, or growing the textile industry in South Africa. What's your take on the current health of the sector?
Could be better. Good morning. Good morning to you and the viewers. The current state is that it could be better. And at Proudly South African, we believe it remains everybody's collective responsibility, if you like, to have an appreciation of the sector and play our part, whichever way we can, to make the difference that we would like to see. It's a broader challenge, but there's a low-hanging fruit, if you like, touch points that we can utilize to amplify the efforts around the clothing, textile, footwear, leather sector, and to make a difference, and hence the local fashion police campaign spearheaded by Proudly South African.
Are we seeing an increase of local designers?
We are definitely seeing what we refer to as a movement, a mind shift, if you like. I mean, in our quest to work around the localization agenda, in all sectors, including this one in specifically, is that if we compare what was happening 10 years ago, 7 years ago, to where we are currently, there's a definite shift. There's a bigger appreciation. There's a whole narrative out there in the public domain, regarding the local clothing. Could be sneakers, just any kind of clothing, couture, low, couture, even red carpet clothing, casual, whatever the case may be. There's a definite shift, but like I alluded to earlier on, there could be a bigger difference, as we push ahead and educate South Africans about the importance of buying and supporting local.
That then sounds like good news. Does that mean that we are seeing an uptake and an increase in consumers buying locally manufactured goods?
Yes, there is. There's a whole, shift from a retail perspective where many local, even, multinational retailers that are operating in South Africa, where they have committed to ensuring that their localization spend and procurement centers around, local. And in fact, it speaks to the localization commitments that we do every year as Proudly South African, where we get retail or the clothing sector to commit to ensuring that their procurement spent around local and creating more jobs and keeping our factories alive and keeping, creating more employment and sustaining employment, that they do what they need to do as well. And so, yes, there is quite an effort, a concerted effort. Yes, the reality is that there are still people out there, many South Africans, who are of the view that clothing made in South Africa is inferior and it's not good enough. But the minute you speak about labels that have come outside of the country, some of those people will embrace it. They will not question the quality. They won't question the pricing and all of that. But they will question anything and everything that is made by local designers. And the local fashion police, as much as it's very light-hearted, it's fun, it is also meant to deal with that myth and that perception that we don't produce anything good, any good clothing in South Africa.
We're going to take a look at the local fashion police in detail in a bit, but I also want to ask you, are we seeing that internationally people are starting to appreciate proudly South African garments? I see on social media more and more people, even in the fashion industry, they are very proud to be wearing local designers like your Gert-Johan Coetzee.
I'd rather focus on the fact that there's a lot of locals from a domestic mandate perspective, because that's the mandate we have as South Africans. As much as we care about what the world thinks about, what we produce as South African, we want to, our main focus is at home, because once we start to fix that myth and that narrative, once we start to get our people having a bigger appreciation of what it is that we can produce, then we are in a better position to package all of those good stories, and send them to the global world through our stakeholders such as Brand SA and tourism, for them to do what they then mandated to do. But yes, locally, that is for sure. I mean, just last weekend there was a campaign that we were, of national interest, which is a music and food festival that we were involved in, and we, as we're building up to that, activation, we were asking South Africans to rock up, show up wearing their best local clothing, and we were pleased to see how that narrative was so well received, where every second person out of the 20,000 people that showed up at the festival actually wore local and embraced that is made locally.
Let's then now look at how the local fashion police is helping us to promote this mandate.
And so the local fashion police started 3 years ago. So this is the third year, where as Proudly South African, we believe we found a relatable, fun way to include and involve South Africans as a people and say, it's truly lekker, and we found ways to demonstrate that. And so this is a public campaign, a consumer campaign, where we are saying it doesn't matter where you are in South Africa. We are asking you to be part of this movement and stand a chance to win 20,000 Rand from either Palesa Mokubung, JJ Schoeman, Gert-Johan Coetzee or Otsile, who are incredible, renowned local designers who produce incredible pieces of clothing. All you have to do as a South African is that you get up, you dress up in your local outfit. It could be casual, it could be, African attire, it could be couture, it could be red carpet, it could be whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable and that speaks to your personality. Post that picture on social media, tag Proudly South African, and tag the shop from which you bought the clothing from, whether it's a retail store, whether it's a dressmaker down the road from your home, whether it's a seamstress around the corner, it doesn't matter. And post that picture, show us the country of origin, though. It must say made in South Africa. Enter as many times as you want. You can change into 10 outfits. We don't really care about that. We care about the fact that you want to be part of the camaraderie and part of celebrating local. And so the competition has, submission has closed, and the judges are hard at work doing their adjudication process. Let me tell you, over 300 to 400 entries were received by Proudly South African. This year's judges has got their work cut out for them. There's so many entries that are, representative of all demographics in South Africa. It's really a rainbow kind of setup that we see, which is amazing, which meets the objective. And four winners stand a chance to win 20,000 Rand from each of the judges. And then we've got runner-up, because the competition is growing in leaps and bounds. But there's a catch. When you do win the 20,000 Rand, we will not pay you. Proudly South African is not going to pay you 20,000 Rand into your account, because we have no control. And that you won't take the 20,000 Rand and go spend it at Diamond Walk, which then defeats the purpose, right? Mm-hmm. And so we will pay the designer that chose you, that was attracted to your originality, your pizzazz, your style, your look and feel. And we'll connect you with that designer. They will then dress you up, and, you know, you can go shop from their rail, or they can make something completely new for you, which then quickly culminates into a big fashion show in the middle of November, where you will be surrounded by the industry, by the media, by, you know, these designers, and you get to strut your stuff on the ramp and showcase what you've won from these designers. It doesn't get any better than that.
It certainly does not. Thank you so much for reminding us this morning that local is indeed lekker. We look forward to seeing some local designs from even rural communities, hopefully, on that runway. That was Chief Marketing Officer for Proudly South Africa, Happy Makumalo Ngidi.
Well, of course, more to come right here on the SA Morning.